Hi everyone, I'm Stephen and welcome to Audio Nautica. I've got this Dual CS505-1 turntable. I actually bought this on eBay, I think about 5 or 6 years ago. And I did a little bit to it at the time. I vaguely remember that it had a blow-in capacitor or something in it somewhere. And I know that I changed the stylus on it to this Autophon. I think it's an OM5. It's basically the base model Autophon. And it went up to my mum and dad. So it's been up there for the last 5 years or so. They've decided to get out of records, so it's now come back to me. And I've kind of been thinking that I'd like to have a secondary turntable for my living room system. And I've kind of been thinking for a while too as to where it is that I want to go with turntables. I've sort of like been thinking for quite a while about buying another turntable. So at the moment my main turntable, or my only turntable, is a Rega RP1, which I bought brand new about the same time I bought this. And I think I paid $300 Australian for it. It was a half price run out sale, end of model, when the plainer one was coming out at that time. So the RP1 Rega has actually got exactly the same stylus as this one has, but I'm thinking it will probably actually be quite a bit easier to upgrade the stylus on this, the Dual 505. I just can't really see that it's justified to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a turntable. I know lots of people do, but I don't really want to do that. I've sort of thought maybe, you can probably pick up a nice secondhand Techniques deck for maybe about $1,000 or so. But I just kind of wasn't too enthralled by that idea. Anyway, this came back to me, so it's here. So I thought I might as well go down this path and see where we end up. So this will need a full service. I'm not going to do the full service here on this video because there's plenty of other YouTube videos out there that show you how to do the service procedure. So I'll just pop back from time to time as I go along through the procedure. But my plan is to give this turntable a service and see how it performs with this current Autophon shell on it. I don't think I ever had it set up quite correctly in terms of, the anti-skating and those kinds of things. So I need to just go through this from way to go, service it first, get it set up properly, and see how it performs. Then I'm thinking that I might upgrade the stylus, go to a better stylus, because I said this Autophon is kind of the entry-level stylus. So those are my thoughts. This Dual, this was kind of considered an entry-level turntable, I guess, in the late 1970s. Maybe not entry-level in the same sense that we would consider entry-level today. So it's not in the same league as, those 3-in-1 kind of decks that you'd buy, or those kinds of things. It's clearly much better than that. But, it's not a Garrard or a Torrens or anything like that. But probably, someone who would have bought this in the late 1970s, they might have paired this with something like a NAD 3020 and some, half decent entry-level kind of speakers. And this would be the kind of thing that they might have bought as their first system for someone who wanted half decent kind of sound, rather than, something just the cheapest that they could get. Anyway, yeah, let's dive into this and see where this ends up. Okay guys, just a quick update. I've been following along the video of the Turnable Guy on YouTube, Dual 505-2 Complete Service Part 1. I've just followed along, which is the service for the motor. And I did not find that very difficult at all. The Instruction was very good. The only thing I did a little bit different is instead of using the, he suggested using IPA, isopropyl alcohol, to clean, which will work fine. But I used this contact cleaner, which is just a much better cleaner. It means I didn't have to worry about manually cleaning it with a Q-tip. I can basically just hose it off, and it was pretty clean anyway. So I used this 3-in-1 motor oil, which is the stuff that he used in his video. It's not really very readily available here in Australia. So I ordered that on Amazon. It came from the US. I think I used about 3 drops of it, so not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of it. But anyway, I guess I'll have to get a whole lot more turntables to service or something. So that was fine. And yeah, he talks about this mechanism here. I'll just zoom in so you can see a bit better. This mechanism here goes up and down, is to do with the speed control. So this all needs to be quite free, and I don't think it was. Well, I'm sure it wasn't. So this thing probably wouldn't have worked very well in 45 mode. So that all needed to be cleaned and lubed. Turntable Guy suggested lubing it with WD-40. I would strongly recommend using WD-40 as a lube for anything. It is not intended to be a lubricant. Yes, it does say on the tin that it lubricates and penetrates, but it's not meant to be used as a lubricant for these kinds of things. So you probably could use some of the 3-in-1 oil. I used Super Lube, just a couple of drops of that on the little plunger in here to get that all moving nice and freely. So I'm about to reinstall the motor, and then I'll move on to the next step, which I believe is lubricating the spindle. Okay guys, we're doing quite well here. I've just finished oiling the spindle for the platter itself. I used this special blend from Audio Vault in Canada. The specified oil, according to the dual surface procedure, is no longer available. Apparently it's a modified oil that has a tackifier that helps it to actually stick to the spindle. So this blend made by Audio Vault is supposed to mimic quite closely what the original oil that Dual used in these things does. So yeah, I brought this in from Canada specifically for this purpose. It lists a bunch of turntables that it is suitable for, and they've got a bunch of other oils as well. So that's done. So I think we can move towards getting this thing back together. Okay guys, so I've got this thing back together, and I've just kind of gone back to first principles in setting it up. I've got my little Shure SFG2 stylus force gauge, which is just a fancy balance really. But I found the data sheet for the cartridge that I'm using, and it says tracking force range should be 1.5 to 2 grams. So I've got this set to just above 1.5 on the balance gauge, and then on the adjustment screw thing here, there's markings on that as to what the force is, and that's pretty accurate. So if I tell it to, so the needle is dropped at the moment. If I raise the needle, so hopefully you saw the balance come up. Now if I drop it, you can see that it's balanced. So that tells me that the force is just above 1.5 grams. So also I can tell from the data sheet that it says that it is an elliptical point. And then I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to set the anti-skate to basically the same as what it was set to for the tracking. So if I just set that to just above 1.5 for elliptical, that should be correct. So fingers crossed that is all right. So I guess the next thing to do will be to test it, but just before I do, I think I forgot to mention One of the reasons why I quite like this turntable, well, there's a few reasons that I like the turntable. One is that the head shell is actually removable. It's not removable on my Rega. And I had a look at this under the microscope. It looked absolutely disgusting, the needle. There was just bits of fibre wrapped around it. It was filthy. So I've given it a really good clean. But I can't see it on the Rega because I can't get it off. So that's a bit of a pain. But also, I really like the fact that this deck is semi-automatic. So when I move the tone arm over like this, it starts. It's also got this actuated drop using that lever. Let's put that back up again. But it's also got auto cutoff and auto lift at the end. So I really like having those features. But also it's got the knob here for the 33-45 speed adjust. I mean, the Rega doesn't even have that. The Rega, you've got to take the platter off and change the belt. Change the belt position to get the different speed, which is a real nuisance. So yeah, it'll be just nice to have these little civilized features. So anyway, fingers crossed, this is right now. So let's actually get it plugged into a system and see how it goes. Okay, so I've just given this a test on my main system and it actually sounded pretty good. I can't show you unfortunately because I'll get pinged for copyright if I do, so you just have to trust me. But yeah, I am really pleased with how this turned out. So we have given this a service. We've lubricated the motor and the spindle, and there's a couple of other points in there that we lubricated as well. We followed the Turntable Guy's procedure, which I've put some links to in the description. So thanks so much to him for his videos. And yeah, I'm really pleased. I know this thing looks a bit beaten up. The plastic's kind of all scratched up and so on, but I think this actually is an upgrade for me from my Rega RP1 to this dual made in Germany 505-1 semi-automatic turntable. I think the next step with this at some point will be to upgrade the cartridge. This has kind of got an entry-level cartridge in it, but as I mentioned also, it's exactly the same cartridge as is in my Rega, so it's kind of a sideways step there, but I think this is a much nicer turntable to use. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I love to read your comments down below. You can support my work over at Patreon, patreon.com/audionautica, and I really look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.